Welcome to the Domonique Foxworth Show. I'm Domonique Foxworth. Charlie Kravitz is here by my side as always. I'm excited for today's show. We got a boldest take session, and we're going to close it out with some intrusive thoughts, which I know anybody who has been a long-time listener knows got some pretty wild intrusive thoughts, and I've looked at the rundown. I can't wait to get to some of them. I'm sure there's some surprises in here, though.
I have, I think you could say that all of mine are intrusive thoughts.
The good thing about it,
I tried to tier them.
No, I know. But I feel like when you say the bold take, intrusive thoughts gives you some protection. It's like, I can't help that my mind thinks crazy things. But when you start saying bold takes, it's like you're actually presenting this opinion. It's a little bit. So I like intrusive thoughts as like some coverall. You don't care as much. You just give them the real.
Just going to let it rip. Also, the thing about like these takes, we do believe them. We also know they're bold. These are not they're not like, oh, this is the generic way everyone's thinking. It's not like, oh, I'll turn on sports debate show and they're going to tell you this like incredibly obvious thing and then use it as a proxy to debate something else. These are things like we are going out on a limb a tiny bit. We're going against conventional wisdom. Yeah,
we're not saying like Justin Herbert is a MVP candidate because that would be a fake bold take.
Yeah, Micah Parsons is terrifying.
You have to go way back in this show to appreciate that reference.
If you didn't know, that's Domonique once was like, I'm going to get into Twitter. He's like, I'm going to be good at social media now. And that was his attempt at being good at social media. That's
not true. I was at one point active on social media. Then I stopped and then I was like, I need to get back in. And then you just gotta get your feet wet. So you gotta put a tweet out just to dip your toe in. And I did it. I was like, I hate it here. It's so bad. All of social media is so sad. It's so annoying. It's terrible.
You put yourself in timeout, and that timeout has just turned into a permanent ban.
It was. And I don't know. Maybe I'll come back. They come up with a new social media platform that makes me happy.
Twitter's for the birds. Who gives a Let's go to a bold
Was that
takes.
intentional? Twitter's for the birds?
No, I mean, I like Twitter's for the sick if you really want to go through it. But let's go. Let me hear your first bold take.
First bold take, Dallas Cowboys win the division. It's certainly not the boldest take. I think that if you ask me, the Eagles are the favorites. The Cowboys, I think most people would consider second in that division because the injury to Tunsil and, well, I don't know. I mean, even without the injury to Tunsil, we all have become believers to some degree in the Cowboys' defensive improvement. We know their offense is going to be pretty excellent, all things considered. So I'm thinking that the favorites, my guess would be the favorites for the NFC East is the Eagles winning the division. So it will be somewhat a meager, bold prediction to say that the Eagles do not succeed with that monstrous defense that they have, that tremendous offensive line, the weapons, and a Super Bowl MVP quarterback. There are reasons to believe that they should run away with that division.
This is interesting because I think the Eagles are going to be very good. And I think I've come back into this since Lane Johnson came back to camp because he wasn't there for a while. And I know he's announced it's been his last year and he's sort of, you hear Landon Dickerson like waffling on it being like, dude, he can play for as long as he wants. Like he could be there for a while. And last year, some of the O-line people who know more about the way that those units perform than we do still said that their offensive line was pretty good when they were banged up. But they had been the Jeff Stoutland All-Stars and had gone like pretty good was not good enough for that team. There have been raving reviews about Sean Mannion, about what the run game is going to be and about what the offensive line is. And you feel like I do. The defense is going to be nasty.
And there have been rave reviews, not just of people watching, but of the players in the system also. In particular, the offensive linemen, who said that they had to think a lot more in the past, and now they have to think less, and they can, which is nice. We got a big, powerful offensive line. Let them steamroll people.
And it's not a shot at Stoutland. They know that Stoutland is like the best. I mean, if they put a line coach in the Hall of Fame, it should be Jeff Stoutland.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody disagrees with it, but it doesn't mean that it's not time for a change. I think oftentimes any type of system, the complexity comes from making up for shortcomings. Like it's the reason why you put in extra rules and extra tricks and things to make up for some shortcomings, which a really smart coach could do that and then become reliant on it. But they have the talent across their offensive line that they shouldn't have to do too many things to compensate for weak spots that they have. So I think you would expect that if you can do the complex things and be physically overpowering, then you're an incredible all-time great offensive line. But if you don't need to do them, it's kind of the reverse of what their offense has been in the past when it was at its most successful. We think about the Kellen Moore year where they started that season doing shifts and motions and attacking the middle of the field and also struggling. And then I guess it was around week 3 or week 4, the offensive line, I believe, went in and was like, hey, so we got Saquon. Let's hand him the ball and let's steamroll him. And now they're doing a similar thing, but taking the pressure off of the offensive line to some degree.
So I know I went to the Eagles on this because the Eagles are really good. They're the direct competition. And like some of the defensive pieces, like I think you had Campbell replacing Nakobe Dean. It's someone who I thought was just an incredible prospect. And I think it's going to be really, really good in the way that off-ball linebackers are used with his movement. I think Makuba's ready for a bigger role. And I think that their offense, I mean, look, it's going to be a referendum on Jalen Hurts. I'm not doing this to slander him. It's like they've done a lot of things to make the middle of the field more accessible for this team, from the scheme to the talent they brought in with Mekhi Lemon with Dontavian Wicks to Eli Stowers, et cetera, et cetera.
Ain't been reading good stuff about your man Eli from Vandy.
And he's basically a wide receiver, and we'll see what he does. But for the Cowboys side of this, I think it's interesting because they had the third worst defense by DVOA since 1977.
Yeah.
They were the worst defense in the NFL last year. And I know you think of that and you think of, oh, it had to be the Commanders or the Bengals. Like those defenses were atrocious. Like, no, actually the Cowboys were that bad. And what's interesting is within a year, because of the Parsons trade, they've been able to add all of these pieces. It's not saying they won the trade. Like the process was bad. And sometimes the outcome can be okay, where they got Quinnen Williams, even if they overpaid. Kenny Clark actually had a good season. DeMarvion Overshown's going to be healthy this season. And then you add in Caleb Downs, plus other pieces. But this is just off of the top of this. They draft Malachi Lawrence, who, by the physical tools, probably could have been the number one edge picked in that draft, just based on like how they look in shorts. You add that to a defense where they get pretty good. This is sort of the Bengals case. I don't know about you. I view the Cowboys offense as one of the most dependable units in the whole conference.
That's the thing is like you and I have had these conversations. We get really high on the Bengals, and I don't think I'm as high on the Bengals as you are, but I feel more
super easy schedule.
Yeah,
it's really helpful.
I feel more sure about the Cowboys offense than I do the Bengals. I think the Bengals, they still have offensive line issues. And Joe Burrow is someone who wants to hold on to the ball for a long time. Dak Prescott is more of a operate within the scheme type of guy and occasionally improv than Joe Burrow is. And they actually have a much better offensive line. So that would concern me. I know these teams aren't in direct competition, but I think they get compared a lot as incredible offenses who are being held back by their bad defenses. I think that's true, but I think the difference between those incredible offenses is I trust O-line. And we do this every year when I start talking about my favorites and for divisions. A lot of times the difference maker for me is like quarterback. Then the next question is O-line, because I think they give you some flexibility. And I think my opinion has changed on it before. It's not necessarily, you just can't have a bad O-line.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You don't have to be great. Having a great O-line, I think, helps. You look at the Broncos or you look at the Eagles or somebody like that.
If you get an outlier offensive line, you get an outlier position group in anything in the NFL. It's such a distinct advantage.
Right. But I guess my point is not even outlier. It's like top 5 is incredible. But I think what you don't want is like bottom 8, bottom 10. And the Bengals have a chance of being down in that area, which I think is concerning.
Totally. And this Cowboys one, I think it's like, look, they could easily win the NFC East. I wouldn't be shocked. But I think the questions is like, even beyond Dak, Lamb, and Pickens, like their supporting pieces are fun. Like it's Javonte Williams, it's Jake Ferguson, it's a good offensive line, Brandon Aubrey and Kevontae Turpin. Like Kevontae Turpin's the most exciting guy in the NFL. But there's a question from last year, just like we have the questions about the defensive improvement with them.
Was it you that I was talking to about how having Brandon Aubrey might make it?
Yeah, this is one of my bolder takes.
Oh, it is? Okay, my bad.
And this is a spoiler, but we'll get to, is Schottenheimer actually got, was referenced by FTN. It's not just like the 60-plus yard field goals. He got more conservative in the field goals that were like shorter.
Yeah.
Because they're automatic for them. And so it's like times where maybe we should go for it on a 4th and 3 where it could be a 43-yard field goal or 38-yard field goal or whatever. He just always took the points because with Brandon Aubrey, that doesn't matter. But there are the truthers being like, it's actually made their offense worse. Over the course of last season, the Cowboys offense regressed a little bit. You know, part of this, you imagine there's going to be a better CeeDee Lamb this year who doesn't have a high ankle sprain. But there also might be a worse George Pickens. We don't know what he's going to be year to year because he was unbelievable last season. But for the first 5 weeks, they posted a DVOA over 30 3 times. Then they reached 30 2 more times over the course of the season. So like there was a peak that they reached early in that season that they didn't get to later. And I think that's the question of like, for them to win this division, they need to have the defensive improvements, but they also need to be one of the best offenses in football. Like they need to be the dependable unit that we've seen where Dak is shredding and he's your quarterback's favorite quarterback type of guy where it's like he's in the MVP conversation in the top 6 of the MVP ladder when we get to midseason and they're scoring a ton of points and they're ultra explosive. Because if the offense does regress, it becomes a lot more hairy because the Eagles are that good.
Do you think that I know that we like cite the fact that offense is a little bit more sticky than defense all the time. Like you're more likely to repeatedly have a talented offense than you are to repeatedly have a top level defense. Because when you look at this, I think the point that you made is a good one, is that it could not be as consistent as we believe it is, but all the pieces are there. Like there's nothing about this offense that to me feels like I should be concerned about that offense regressing significantly enough for it to make a difference.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Okay.
I just, if they aren't as good as you think, why is it? And it's because, when you're depending on a unit to be incredibly elite and being merely very good is always a possibility. Like that type of regression, it might not look like they drop from the 5th offense to the 15th offense, but if they drop from 5th to 8, what's it actually practically mean? And it could be enough for them to be a wild card team or be less good than we think. Do you want my bold take?
Yeah, give it to me.
The Chiefs offense will be better, but it won't be any more exciting than it's been since 2022. And like, this is something I've been like looking at a lot. And I was hoping, I am still hoping, because we haven't seen them play any football. I'm hoping that just Josh Simmons is going to be there all year. He's the talent to be one of the best tackles in the NFL. Like seriously, like movement that's like, speaking of the Cowboys, prime Tyron Smith. Seriously, that type of athleticism that's rare. I don't know if he'll ever reach those heights as a player, but just his movement, some of the times you saw him was crazy. Their running game should be better. They're going to be under center more. Eric Bieniemy's back. Kenneth Walker has apparently been incredibly legit at camp. But they're going to need the run and the threat of the run to open up the pass in a way, and the explosives in a way that I could see them still being a dink and dunk offense. Mm-hmm. And they didn't get a big Y tight end, which I think would have helped them immensely. I think the fact that Rice might have a down year, we really don't know. If him rehabbing his knee injury in jail, it's just been a lot of they're depending on Xavier Worthy just coming back from what was essentially the year from hell last year where he got hurt immediately. And then Cyrus Allen, who's their 5th round pick, who's drawing rave reviews from camp. Like he has to be their man beater. They aren't looking at Cyrus Allen as an X factor. He has to be really good. And all the reports of the Chiefs, they love him. Right. They love what he's at. But these are a lot of moving pieces for what we want to see is what Mahomes was in 2022 and before. We want to see him be an incredibly explosive passer of the football because when he showed up, we were like, what is this? This guy's an alien. And he's obviously intellectually, I think he's going to be mostly fine. But an incremental improvement of this plotting offense, like the people who are the Mahomes stands and the Tom Brady detractors are like, look at what Mahomes can do when Brady was game managing and dinking and dunking and moving the ball down the field. Like that's what Mahomes has been in the second iteration of this dynasty when they still won Super Bowls. And until I really see it with this wide receiver core, until I see it being more explosive, like it's going to be like 700 yards to Kelsey, who's playing out of this. Xavier Worthy having a couple boom plays, Rashee Rice having 900 yards on a bunch of receptions. And I just don't know if we're going to see an offensive explosion we want to see.
Yeah, I mean, I've come a long distance on this team just in the offseason. As soon as Mahomes did the ACL, then I watched what they did in offseason. I was kind of like, yeah, this is kind of going to be that down season that we've been expecting them to have, even though last year was kind of down, but like the season where we know that everyone's going into it knowing that it's a rebuild. Kelsey comes back, which doesn't make sense if they aren't trying to make a run. Mahomes is back and healthy and playing sooner than anyone anticipated. And to your point, Cyrus Allen is having a good camp. That's exciting and interesting. But saying the offense is going to be better, but not more exciting or explosive, is not, to me, enough to make this team a real contender, right? Yeah. It's still like, and we had this conversation, I think it was off air.
They need everything to hit.
Right,
They need Woods, Delane, Allen. They need everything to hit.
Yeah, that's where I was going. I think this might have been an off-air conversation that you were having. Was I was trying to convince you that I think the Chiefs could make a run, but what's required is they need to have a draft that just, especially on the defensive side of the ball, just nails it. And like I feel as though like the quarterback is enough. If they have a good running game, a good tackle, the quarterback is enough if that defense is good. The question is, how good can a defense be? If they brought in Peter Woods, who has a chance to be one of the better defensive tackles in the league, like we were looking a couple years ago, and if they end up with Mansour Delane as a top-tier cornerback, like I think that's enough. You pair those two guys with Chris Jones, assuming Chris Jones can still play and be healthy this season, like that's enough to lift the defense to a point where I think Mahomes can make them competitive. But that's the question. You got to, and then Cyrus Allen. You have to nail Cyrus Allen as a receiver.
Has to hit.
And that's just it's a lot of ifs, and nobody really hits drafts like that, especially a team like this who's already done it once. Like they hit that defensive draft before, which like preserved their dynasty longer than I think any of us thought it would, or at least made them competitive longer than any of us thought that it would be. So I'm not sure if they can do it again, but that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll see some Taysom Hill packages with Justin Fields.
Yeah,
genuinely.
As you were talking, I pulled up the depth chart.
You were thinking that's the big wide tight end. That's the big wide tight end thing on the roster.
I was just looking down the roster like, what can we do here? What can we make happen? And I saw Justin Fields sitting over there like, I don't know what we're going to do with him. They got to do something. I guess the QB sneak will be because they had tight ends doing that before.
He will do the tush push for them for sure.
Yeah, he'll definitely do that. All right, you want to get bolder? You want me to do it or you want to go?
Go for it. Give me your bolder take.
Bears will miss the playoffs.
Ooh.
Yeah. As much as we all love Ben Johnson and the excitement of this particular offense, like I think anyone who listens to this show has probably listened to a lot and read a lot. They know that the Bears defense was kind of a turnover produced outfit and that those turnovers are not going to repeat. And they haven't done anything to fix that defense. Will they be able to run the ball as effective? Like it requires an offensive jump that I think is going to be hard to produce, an enormous offensive jump without DJ Moore, who I know wasn't their favorite, but they're relying on younger players, Luther Burton and Loveland, to be big, explosive players. And Monungai's hurt, but I mean, he'll be back, but they still need
multi-week injury.
Yeah.
The knee hyperextension. Yeah.
Right. He'll be back eventually, but like it's an impact on the offense. It just feels like, and Ben Johnson said earlier that he wanted to break the scoring records for offense. Like I think they're going to have to score a lot of points, and that's a lot of pressure on a quarterback who doesn't like. Not that anyone likes to turn the ball over, but he's not like Matt Stafford. That's I'll put it in there.
His hero is Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
He's talked about that, and that's the Aaron Rodgers thing. And like, okay, the defensive regression. Here are the sirens for it. They recovered 10 of their 14 fumbles.
It's normally 50-50, right?
Yeah. Forcing fumbles is a skill. Recovering them is not.
Recoveries are like 50%.
Yeah. 32% of their pass breakups became interceptions. No one else reached 25. This is from FTN. They also lost 3,472 snaps from their secondary from last year. So like this is something that could be really, really difficult. On the other side of this, why I'm higher on the Bears, and I think because I do think like I'm really high in Ben Johnson. I'm really high in the offense. They, after their bye, had one of the biggest turnarounds in the run game, explosive run rates, success rate, et cetera, in NFL history. And they're incredible at that. Like that's what's going to come first. Why Ben Johnson is one of those guys. Like we look at Caleb, we look at the crazy plays, but it's him engineering a run game like he's Mike Shanahan. That's like what makes him incredibly special and unique as a play caller. And I think that they'll be really, really good. But it does concern me that that's what's going to be required. That the offense has to be that. And like truly their running game might be their best defense.
Yeah. I mean, they lost Dahlman, their center, ended up retiring.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I think that impacts how good their offensive line is going to be, how good their running game was. I think their inside zone was probably one of their most effective running plays, just creating the cutback off the inside zone, which includes the center quite a bit, and the play action off of their ability to run the ball. Like I guess my thing is we saw this. So this Bears offense was better last year. It was very good last year. But if we saw what happened to teams who had really bad defenses and incredible offenses last year, which we already talked about, the Cowboys and the Bengals, what makes us think that it's going to be different for the Bears, who had a good offense but not as explosive an offense as the Bengals and the Cowboys. I expect this to be even in best case scenario is I expect this to be similar to what those teams did last year, where there was like outside chance that they could sneak into the playoffs, but no one actually took them seriously.
Yeah. I mean, obviously they have a first place schedule too, and the rest is not in their favor. There are things that are bad there. If I were to disagree why they're different than the Bengals and the Cowboys, better coach, ascending players. Those are really fully baked in what those teams are offensively. And it's like, you're looking at the improvement from Caleb. You're looking at the improvement, like, obviously Luther Burden has a groin and Odunze had the foot, but Odunze's been practicing nonstop and people love Loveland. And it's like, if those guys are all ascending, if those guys are getting better and reaching a peak and Caleb's at a different level, that's when you're like, oh, can't they be different than those teams?
Yeah, I appreciate you taking the question seriously, but best case scenario is those players become the players that are in Cincinnati and Dallas. Like there's so again, I'm not even asking this question. I'm just making the point is like, they aren't as good as them now. Maybe they'll be as good as them next year, but the defense is going to be as bad as those defenses. So it's hard for me. It feels like a bold take because we all love the Bears and we all love Caleb and it was all fun what's happening last year. But when I start to actually look at it, it's like I have a hard time seeing this team as a serious outfit.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you on the defense completely. I will say, and this is a bold take or a bolder take because we're on our bolder take section. Yeah. You said like if they mature, they become those players. Of course, like if any of those guys turn into Jamar Chase or Joe Burrow or CeeDee Lamb or George Pickens. I mean, even if Caleb this year was as good as like peak Dak Prescott when he's second, it'd be great. If the Cowboys were coached by Ben Johnson, I'd pick them to win the Super Bowl. That's the thing about it. If the Bengals were coached by Ben Johnson, I'd be like, this offense, he wants to break the scoring record. I'd be like, he is going to break the scoring record. That's where I feel about that. And like, that makes such a big difference. It's like, if Ben Johnson is carrying where we thought he was,
if he's one of these, I think Shanahan is still the cream of the crop. I think as far as Shanahan and McVay, I guess
either Shanahan, pick your poison.
Yeah, McVay's had more talented quarterbacks in Goff and Stafford, but I think the Shanahan rule is like it don't matter what the quarterback is, you're going to get the best version of him. So if Ben Johnson, because Shanahan's never really had a great, good.
Purdy's a really good player.
No, I think Purdy's good.
Purdy's on the Goff level, I think, in that tier. I mean, Goff's had the more decorated career. He's a better thrower without pressure. Yeah. But like what Purdy did last year with all the injuries and everything around them.
Oh, I mean, they stayed afloat with Mac.
But it was different.
Yeah, I know it's definitely different. I don't want to be a Purdy detractor. I think Purdy's very good. I think Purdy's career is different elsewhere, which everyone's career is a little different elsewhere. I don't think Purdy. I think they both help each other. I guess the point I was making is how good do we think Ben Johnson is, right? That's what category do we put him in, and how big a difference does that make? And I think the Shanahan, I guess we'll see what Shanahan does this year with another year of injuries and challenges, but I'd say him, I think he's probably a better offensive mind than anyone in the league. If Ben Johnson turns out to be similar to that, and this is a good year to prove it. It's like, we talk about this often, like, do you have two good ideas? Because like oftentimes you get an offensive guy who innovates in some way, but can he continue to do it? That's the big credit to Shanahan and McVay is like those offenses don't look very similar to the offenses they originally had. They change a lot and still are very effective. But it's a lot on the Bears. Do you want to do your bolder take? I got two bolder takes.
So do I.
Okay, all right.
I'll do one first and we'll switch. Andrew Berry's going to break the Domonique Foxworth show this season. Andrew Berry's the general manager of the Cleveland Browns.
Okay.
Domonique is a longtime admirer of the way that he is able to draft and acquire talent, X, Y, and Z. There's some hype around the Browns.
Is
not about like the team itself, around some of the players. Casey Concepcion, Denzel Boston, even the return they got from Myles Garrett. I know we said they should have traded him earlier, but they didn't, and they got back Jared Verse, they got back a bunch of picks, et cetera, et cetera. Andrew Berry is one of your GMs who you really respect.
I do.
I think he's smart enough to know that they need to be tanking because if they get a quarterback, and in this draft, a Drew Mestamaker, an Arch Manning, or a Dante Moore, even at the top, who knows? There could be more. Obviously, Dante Moore and Arch Manning are the most polished of these prospects. You're going to be faced with the fact of one of your favorite GMs doing something that you think is just abominable.
you think that they're going to tank this year?
I think they're going to try and tank. I think that they are going to be intentionally bad. And that might be like, I was trying to think of myself, Deshaun Watson, who's saying, oh, it's personal that they're booing. It's not performance. Like last time I was on my field. Well, it's personal and it's performance, dude, because you're like, you're not a great dude. I was thinking like, why is Deshaun Watson still in the league? If he's on this roster week 1, like that is an indictment of Andrew Berry. And at this point where they could just cut him, like the money's the money, whatever. And like you've seen what the Dolphins are doing where they're, 60% of their cap is dead money. And I was thinking to myself, like, with all of this is a perfect storm to break Domonique Foxworth's brain.
I appreciate the way that you set it up, but I don't think it breaks my brain. We've been through this before. I get the idea that that teams are going to take steps back.
Yeah.
What I'm offended by is that you don't show me the respect to lie to me.
Okay.
You don't show me enough respect to lie to me. Last year, quality defense. No reason to believe that this defense will fall off that much. I know Myles Garrett leaving is a huge reason, but like they still have a ton of talent. They replaced them with Jarrett Verse. The offense has playmakers. Like that's the thing. That's the difference between teams that are like fully tanking and teams that I think are in some sort of rebuild. I don't like the idea that you just completely clean house and you like telegraph to all of us that we don't give a That's what bothers me. So I thought the Myles Garrett trade was fine. They have 2 first-round picks. It's pretty clear that they are going to get a quarterback in this draft. They are at least pretending like we don't know what we got in Shedeur. Maybe it's Deshaun Watson. We all know the truth. My brain's not broken. I gather this. If I was the GM of a team that stunk, the last thing I would want to do was to express to my players, make it clear to them, none of this matters. Like, I want them to think this matters. Believe this matters. Work hard. And it does matter. Work hard. Build some culture. Grow together. Improve. You need to do all that. But at the same time, if my quarterback room looks like the Browns quarterback room and the draft looks like the draft, I recognize we trying to get a player. All I need is y'all to pretend 17 weeks, not even all 17. You can lose the last 2 on purpose. Give me 15 weeks of believing that you guys give a That's all. And I think Andrew Berry's doing that. So my brain not going to break.
I don't know, man. It sounds like your brain's a little bit broken already.
All right. Well, in order to continue to show how my brain is broken, I got another one for you. Kyler Murray, MVP.
Oh, wow. That's one of my boldest takes is about Kyler Murray, too. Kyler Murray, MVP. That's in your bolder section, not boldest.
Not even the boldest. I didn't want to let you down.
Wow.
I know how much.
You really think he's going to win MVP? You think he can win MVP?
I know how much you respect the bold take. So
yeah.
I brought a bolder take.
This is great.
Kyler Murray MVP. Obviously, the stats will have to be there, and it's possible the stats to be there. He's done it before. Like I think it was 0-1, where like midway through the season, he was the odds leader for winning the MVP at that point.
21.
I said 0-1. Yeah. 21, not
Just
0-1.
to be clear.
0-1 would have been, he'd be the oldest player in the league by a long shot. 21, where he did that in a situation that ended up not being all that great. I think you put him in a situation where he has a much better, well, I guess the question is how good is this Vikings offensive line going to be? Healthy Darashaw should help a lot. So I think last year not just Darashaw, like they dealt with a ton of offensive line injuries last year. Healthy O-line. We'll find out we'll see KOC, who I think we put in that top tier of offensive play callers. And of course, Justin Jefferson is, if not the best, the second best receiver in football. All that stuff together, Addison. Like, these are things that I think we've heard before. But we also get the story, the direct comparison with, if the defense shows up, the direct comparison for a 9-win team last year. You can make a direct comparison however many more games they win this year. You have him putting up big numbers in big situations in a team that we saw was good with a quarterback, then bad without a quarterback. It just is a pretty clear demonstration, if he shows up, again, how important the quarterback is to that. So I think it's a realistic possibility. It'd have to be, I don't know how big his numbers would be, considering that this is a team that does play pretty good defense, but it'd have to be a year where no one has one of those Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson type seasons where they have 40 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. I think Kyler could have 30-something and single-digit interceptions and explosive plays, big runs, the type of highlights that you want to see that get people excited.
Yeah, I mean, look, with the KOC stuff, like, it's not to just totally rag on the guy because everyone's doing it on social media.
KOC?
No, JJ McCarthy.
McCarthy,
based on he had his preseason throw, which was NFL guys don't get that open. It was really astounding to see him miss. It's like yippee to see him miss that throw. You look at some of the guys KOC's gotten to work in that system, whether it's the Nick Mullins or the Josh Dobbs, like at the quick game, they tried that. They simplified it for JJ McCarthy. They had his time to throw drop from 2.9 to 2.6 with the quick game, and it didn't actually help anything. I think one of the Kyler Murray things beyond him being an MVP, because like MVP is like the seasons that we've seen win MVP lately, whether it's the Josh Lamar seasons, the Mahomes season for 2022 before those back-to-back years, even Stafford last year, the quarterback numbers are getting insane. Beyond that, like how much better they're going to be just not having that guy play quarterback is probably a lot. To win MVP, you're saying that they're going to win the division.
Yeah.
So they're going to be a top 4 seed. They're probably going to be a top 2 seed in the conference. I know that Stafford was a 5 seed. The best 2 teams were in the NFC West last year. We understand how weird it is. It's not like a weird 2-point conversion pickup thing is what defined.
I feel like you don't have to explain this. Like,
no, but the people, it'll be, well, what about Stafford?
Yeah,
it's
I mean, that team was good as last year. Some people still believe they were better than the Seahawks.
And also, it flipped on a play. Like the seeding flipped on a play that was so bizarre. We were watching it together and didn't know the rules, and you played in the NFL.
Yeah, the referee. I was like, oh, you could do that?
Yeah, there's a lot about that where like I could see it. The thing that I think is going to be really interesting about this team, and this will be one of my bolder takes, so I'll go with this for this, is that my bolder take was Justin Jefferson is not going to have a considerably better season like people are expecting.
Wow. That is a very... So you made it seem like I was making the boldest take. This falls in your bolder category? This is a boldest?
This was boldest, but I'm moving up to respond to this. Kyler Murray has only supported one wide receiver having 1,000 yards in a season in his whole career. It was in 2020, DeAndre Hopkins, and he just fed him the ball. 115 receptions, 14 touchdowns, 1,400 yards, 6 touchdowns. He's second team All-Pro, but other than that, it's Christian Kirk getting 900 yards, AJ Green getting 850 yards. He is a quarterback who has not really elevated the receivers around him. DeAndre Hopkins in 2020 in Arizona is not Justin Jefferson. That is obvious. But I could see this offense operating a lot better. I could see them winning the division. I could see Brian Flores breaking all of the rules about defensive regression and him being a step ahead. But I could also see us being like, whoa, this is kind of weird. Like, they have Kyler and now they're winning games. Why isn't Jefferson giving us 1,600 yards like he always does? That was my boldest take, whereas this is bold, but it might be a weird outlier thing that comes off of the improved Vikings team.
It's interesting. I'm trying to think through the receivers that Kyler Murray has had. Like, I would have, obviously Marvin Harrison didn't turn out to be that receiver, but I guess, Trey McBride has been the best weapon there at tight end, and an old DeAndre Hopkins. I'm not sure that he's had the receivers that you would think would put up that type of stuff. And the offensive mind is like, Cliff Kingsbury is the best offensive mind that he's played for up until now. So I don't know. I think it's a reasonable take. It's not
Drew Petzing.
Yeah. Not crazy, but it's a little crazy.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson puts up big numbers.
No, this was my boldest take.
Definitely. We got to make a rule. No on the boldest takes.
No. You could away. They're there to be
because it defeats the purpose. Like the challenge was to come with a boldest take, and then you put it up there, and I was like, hey. Let me tell you all the reasons that doesn't make sense. That's the point.
Yeah.
The boldest take is supposed to kind of not make any sense.
Probably at 1,500 yards. That's why we insulated ourselves with all the caveats.
Here we go. Now, boldest take. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, legitimate contenders. Is that bold enough?
When you say contenders, you mean to win the Super Bowl?
All of it.
That's a very bold take.
Legitimate contenders. My argument for it, Mayfield, contract year bump without an injury. Last time it was an injury, messed that up. Contract year bump without the injury. But the real reason, you know this and I know this, is Ruben Bain added to that defense. Him opposite Yaya Diaby with Vita Vea in the middle. I think
Cansey, who's healthy.
And Kalijah Cansey, who's a very good pass rusher also. I think that defense changes. And then you put on top of it, you got Winfield at safety. Like between Vea, Winfield, and if Bain is as good as we thought he was in the draft and as good as we're hearing he is right now, that's 3 blue chip players on your defense. That's enough enough, I think, to have a very good defense. They have that level of defense. Their offensive line is one of the best in football also. You combine that with a quarterback in Baker Mayfield, who I think is probably slightly above average most of the time, but on occasion plays out of his mind. Like, he can elevate, and on occasion plays below that. So I think all those things could come together. They're in a division that's very winnable. They have the best quarterback in that division. Quite possibly this defense becomes the best defense in that division. I think they could run away with the division and put themselves in position to be a legitimate threat. The questions I think about the receiving core and the weapons in general, you got Bucky Irving, who I think is a very good running back, but still a running back. The question is, how good is Emeka Egbuka really going to be without Mike Evans, Egbuka, and Godwin together? I'm
There's
not
some
sure.
redundancies. They play the same way.
I'm not sure. I think that's an honest criticism of this team. The honest criticisms of this team, I think, is the receiver weapons we're not sure about. The quarterback is not a great quarterback. Like, he's a good quarterback. And then, of course, on defense, the corners could get better, but that's true of just about every team in football, honestly. They have some weapons, or they have difference makers, blue chip guys on defense. I feel more confident in the defense than I have in a long time. So that's my argument for them being competitive, that Baker Mayfield becomes the next guy. That's like a journeyman quarterback who finds his home, gets a big deal, wins a championship.
I don't know if you know this, but Ruben Bain taught me his double arm swipe. I can teach it to you if you're as a football guy.
I don't need it. I don't think I'm going to need it.
There. It's right foot, left foot, then... Anyway, I'll teach you the double arm swipe one time.
Do you have video of him teaching you the double arm swipe?
Well, it'll be on social media, but
wait.
Honestly, he was appalled by my 3-point stance. But there were so many wires on the ground. Like, seriously.
Why are you making excuses?
Because, like, I have a great 3-point stance. Like,
you don't have a great 3-point stance.
Like, you could eat hibachi off of my back. It's
you
so
were
flat.
A center. Like, your 3-point stance is like bastardized. You're holding the ball. You don't have a great 3-point stance.
Anyway.
You just have to have a pass rusher's 3-point stance.
Of course I do.
You got to get some lean. Pass rushers is about explosion.
But I had to be so narrow because of the wires.
Centers is butt down, head up. But that's an ugly 3-point stance.
I had to be so narrow because of the wires, and I was trying, so I ended up getting into a wide 9 when he taught me.
Okay.
But so I'm working out of a ghost 9. I was like
a 2-point.
Yeah, I had to go because the wires.
Yeah, the wires. Okay.
And so I get down there, and Bane's like, whoa, stop. I'm like, the wires, dude. Like, you got to understand. Like,
no, and you tell him I was a high school center, so my 3-point stance is terrible because I got to get my eyes up. Like, those worst stance in football, centers. Wide legs.
Okay, we're gonna get
eyes up, holding the ball. Call Jeff.
We're gonna get Jeff on this.
Yeah, call Jeff. He knows his stance is gross.
But back to the actual Bucs stuff.
Okay.
Like, the Bane stuff is like everything we're seeing. Like, we overthought that. I remember last year in like October when I was like, I think this dude's gonna be the first overall pick.
Yeah,
and
we didn't overthink it.
No, but everyone was like, well, the
Sports
draft
media,
people are saying he's like 10 to 15. No, even like the draft people. I was like, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
That was my thought on it. I was like, maybe I'm wrong because he had that type of the pushback on him. It seems like that one's gonna hit, and like his thing is power. Like, he's shedding tackles with hump moves and like things like that. That's gonna translate.
We've seen it. Against NFL top tier NFL
Armand
tackles.
Membu, Luke Gedeke even in practice. But and he's getting to go against Wirfs every day, which is a huge advantage going against the best in the biz as he's learning this stuff. Here's what you talked about the receivers. Like, I want to know about the running game. Yeah. They had the offensive line injuries last year, but you have Zach Robinson in there, and I think they have to prove they can rebuild this running game. I know the receivers are going to block, but I think that's so essential for how good this team is going to be. And Zach Robinson has run wide zone in an incredibly effective way, but that's different than the way that Tampa's offensive line has blocked. They were a different running game than that. And seeing them play in a new style, I think will be very good for them. But you know this, it's a drastic change, and sometimes that hits, sometimes it doesn't with NFL teams. And that's like, if you wanted me the big drawback, because I do think they're going to win the NFC South. I think that the Saints thing, like, I would love them to be good. I think Kellen Moore is a really good coach. I do like Tyler Shuck. The Tyson thing sucks. He's already hurt. It sucks. Like, that was going to be such a fun wide receiver duo. And the Panthers, like, they're the weirdest team last year. What they were is just so incredibly strange, and they're the division winner, that I think that the Bucs are better. I think they are the best team in that division. But to go to serious outfit, serious contender, that running game can't be even remotely reminiscent to what it was last season.
That's fair. Don't disagree with you there. All right. Are you ready with your boldest?
I have two.
Two boldest.
Do you want the boldest or the semi, or like funny?
You have to go semi first. You saved the boldest for the last.
There should be a 3-point line for field goals. And it should be beyond 60 yards.
Okay, this is in relation to the conversation we were having earlier.
Yeah,
about
teams are getting too conservative. Obviously, you could also just like get rid of kicking balls and make them actually kick not broken in footballs, as last year it was crazy with this. You have Harrison Butker, who wasn't even that good last year or the year before, making a 69-yard field goal in preseason. You've got the Cam Little, you've got the Brendan Aubreys. Obviously, the guys are all just drilling deep field goals. It's changed 2-minute drills. It's changed this there. But the reason I say it should be 2 points for field goals within 60 and 3 points outside of it is teams are going for 2 more. Yeah. There's a lot of 6s and 8s on the board. Rather than this field goal winning you the game once you're at 55 yards when you're down 2, with the way that football scoring is now, it should be 2. I don't want the game decided by non-football players. You can play more real football when the non-football player decides it. But I think all of those, the games would be better if those were 2-point kicks. The other side of this is you keep scoring exactly the same and make the field goal post narrower. But I prefer a 3-point line. Get rid of the 3-point line in the NBA, the corner 3, and add one to the NFL.
All right, I'm on board. Any rule changes that you present, I'm on board with them. There's no sense in arguing it. It's a good idea. I think there's a solution to which seems like is an issue. It probably creates some other issues, like teams being at that line and being uncertain whether they want to take a knee or they want to actually go for the first down. I'm sure there's some differences. We could also just say that like you can't win a game by a field goal, no matter how much you're down by. If you kick it, it just ties it. That could change it. Yeah. Like if you're down 1, you're down 2, kick it, just ties it. If you want to win, you got to score 6. But whatever, I'm with you. Anything that gets more to your point. Like I don't have
half-baked. This is obviously half-baked.
No. I get it. That's why I'm not on it too aggressively. I'm on board with anything that gets us more football, right? But there is some suspense. Like I think it's about creating the suspense in dramatic moments. Like a fourth in. That's the thing that annoyed me most about the tush push. Is like it felt like it wasn't fun to watch. And there was also no suspense. When you have like a 4th and short situation and the game's on the line, or even the game's not on the line, 4th and shorts feel like or 4th downs in general feel like when someone's going for it, it feels pivotal. Like this is going to be a big moment. If we know that it's a foregone conclusion and we also know that it's going to be an ugly rugby scrum, I don't like that. I feel kind of the same way about kicking. Is like, yeah, I'm fine. It's a long field goal because this is the only chance you have. Playing for a field goal is not as exciting as like, oh, last second, we got to kick a 55-yarder to win it. Like, that's fun. That's all I'm here for is the fun.
Yeah. Do you want my craziest one, or do you have another boldest one before we get to intrusive thoughts?
Nah, I moved my other ones to intrusive thoughts.
Okay, so this is the last. This is the boldest take.
Okay.
CJ Stroud wants $70 million.
Okay.
So do I, by the way.
Good,
that'd be sick.
I'd take it.
The Texans should trade him. They should trade him. They should call the Falcons up and offer him for Bijan Robinson and Drake London.
Wow.
And then they should flip some of the draft capital and trade for Mac Jones and go win the Super Bowl. And CJ Stroud on the Falcons would be potentially rebuild his career, play with Kevin Stefanski, who I think would be really good with him. It would be awesome. And then the Texans go win it with McCorkle and Bijan and Nico Collins and Drake London.
That coincides with some of my intrusive thoughts that were boldest takes that got promoted to intrusive thoughts. But this trade deadline, I think is going to be explosive. And the headliner trade, which probably isn't going to happen because he just signed a new deal, was Bijan Robinson. I was thinking that all these teams that need quarterbacks, and we saw like in recent years, the trade deadline in the NFL has gotten more and more significant and important. And this year in particular, there seems to be a lot more teams that are, or there seems to be no middle class.
Yeah.
It's like there's a lot of teams that think they're going to win and a lot of teams that don't seem serious about winning, which I think would make for a big buyers and sellers trade deadline. And the team with the most talented, attractive players who also needs a quarterback is the Falcons. So Bijan is the headliner on that. I doubt that they move him, but like Pitts or London or even Jesse Bates on the defense, like really, really good players that could change a team in the same way that like the Colts went after Sauce or the Cowboys went and got Quinnen from the same place. So I don't know, like the last time running back like there aren't running backs like Bijan in the league often, but we talk about the CMC trade as one. But he was 2 years into his new deal by then, I think.
Yeah. So I want to ask you though, like if the Texans called the Falcons and they did ask, they offered, they're like, we'll give you CJ Stroud. He's young.
Yeah,
He's
I would
played
say no thanks
for Bijan and Drake London. Who says no?
Well, if the Texans are calling, then the Falcons would say no.
You think the Falcons would say no?
Yeah.
And you think that the Texans would also say no? You think everyone says no?
Yeah, I think if the Falcons called the Texans would take longer to say no.
Really?
But I think
he's a quarterback.
I understand. I think the Falcons say no immediately. I mean, he's a quarterback who needs a new contract, who it appears we're not completely certain that he is a like all-star, top of the league type of guy. Why would you?
He's 24 years old, and when I thought you were going to say like the Texans would be appalled by this, but the Falcons would take it. That's actually when I thought that you were gonna...
I think that they both would not take it, but I think the Texans would be more willing to consider it than the Falcons.
This is a great fake trade.
I love it as a fake trade, but I don't see how it comes to be. But I do think there will be some explosive trades, like Jeffrey Simmons, I think might be available. Well, I guess the Titans won't be looking for a quarterback necessarily in the draft next year.
I hope not.
Yeah, I know. So that's what I was thinking. Teams might want to position themselves for a quarterback. Teams who might want to compile some more first round picks. Yeah, who may not be good enough. Like Trey McBride might get put out on the street.
Yeah,
because the Cardinals might want a new quarterback.
I mean, I love that the teams are actually willing to trade in the NFL now. But I also like in certain ways, if you talk about like the Titans or something like that, like if you have the quarterback and you end up at the top of the draft next year.
Yeah,
I don't think the Titans.
Right, but you're not going to trade.
I think the Titans have I think the Titans have a better chance of like making the playoffs as a wild card team than ending up with like a top 3 pick.
Wow. We'll see. Well,
did they just spend so much money to improve the offense and like their coordinators are awesome.
Great.
And so like
Max Crosby is going to get moved at some point this year, probably
for sure. But my only point with that is just that like if you are someone with a franchise quarterback, something happens, you end up at the top of that draft with those picks being so valuable. You're in an incredible spot.
You are in an incredible spot.
You're in an incredible spot.
My only point was Jeffrey Simmons is a player that could be moved, but I don't think that anyone would want to move.
Yeah, if
you're not moving up for a quarterback. But
I mean, if you look at, I mean, I guess he's a little bit older. Is he older than Dexter Lawrence?
Jeffrey Simmons? I don't know.
Because like you're looking at he's 29. You're looking at one of the best 3 techniques in the NFL who can just be a complete game wrecker. And,
but it's about
he's 28. It's marginal. It's just like if that guy went for a top 10 pick, obviously it's a weaker draft, but if I don't think the Titans will move him. I know his relationship with Cam Ward is like a huge part of it. Like he's his vet, but like if they do, they'd get crazy return for a player that good.
Right, but I don't think they'll move him because to me it's about timelines. Mm-hmm. And like you'd be willing to move if you don't have your quarterback, you'd be willing to move a player who's in his prime in order to build something. Right? I think because they believe they have their quarterback, there's no sense in sending anybody away, even if they do have a bad season. Like you look at the team, like the Jets are like, all right, we're starting over so we can get rid of some players, and it's a different situation. Like the Cardinals are like that. I think the Raiders have their quarterback, but Max Crosby, they already have decided that he is not part of their future, so they can figure it out. That's why, I mean, Jesse Bates is a guy on defense that I think that a really good safety that the Falcons could potentially move. But all right, a couple more intrusive thoughts that
I got a bunch. Go ahead. You can start.
Okay. You want to just rattle some off? Get them?
No. Okay. I'll give the first one.
All right.
I think we're going to see Shedeur Sanders or J.J. McCarthy play college football again. That's an intrusive thought. I don't know if it'll actually happen, but there was the ruling that if you have eligibility left from the 2022 recruiting class, which they were both in, you can come back and play again. There's a chance that neither one of them are going to make a 53-man roster coming out of camp. It would completely break college football, which I'm totally down for, given what they've done to the sport. And 2, Deion getting boosters to pay Shedeur like $15 million, them unretiring his jersey for him to play at Colorado this year. It's the perfect 2026 media story. Or 9 being back in college.
It's a hell of an intrusive thought. I give you credit for it.
You've got guys playing preseason football, tight ends in the transfer portal, communicating with Lane Kiffin. obviously the guys are playing professional basketball in the G League in Barcelona and then going to play college basketball. This is a system breaking thing. And I just was looking at who are the guys who are actually going to do it? And it's the most Shedeur or 9 thing possible.
I'm so proud of that as an intrusive thought. I love it. I think it's possible, but unlikely. But I do love it as a concept. Players are going to do it.
It's a brainworm.
Players are going to do it, and neither of those guys seem to, in my view, have a chance of having a significant impact on this season.
In your mind's eye, could you see them in a college uniform?
I like to think that they have some shame and they wouldn't do it. That's what would stop me. But I guess if there's enough money, I would accept whatever shame came along with it. But you're an NFL player. These guys played in NFL games.
They started NFL games. They won NFL games.
Right. It's not like guys who went to camp. It's different. Guys, these guys started in NFL games and believe themselves to be NFL quarterbacks. Going back to college seems like, I don't know. The world's changing. It's different. It could happen. It's a quality take.
Who would be the most fun? Who would be the guy who, if you drop, is it Myles Garrett? You see him play in a college game, what it would look like?
He'd be probably the first D lineman to win the Heisman Trophy. Yeah, Myles Garrett doing anything is fun to watch. Imagining people trying to block him.
The counterpoint, by the way, of them having pride is
money.
Well, there's money, but also, do you think there's any chance they looked around, they're like, whoa, this isn't for me. The National Football League, I'm not deluded anymore.
There's no chance. They both still believe that they are Hall of Fame caliber quarterbacks. They just got to get some things cleaned up and get in the right situation. That tends to be the case.
Yeah, JJ's just not getting a fair shot because the other guy in class.
All right. I got a couple intrusive thoughts about the Bills and the Broncos. It keeps intruding into my mind that maybe things won't be as good as everyone thinks. Because the Bills, or we can start with the Bills because they are legitimate Super Bowl favorites or contenders at least.
Both of these teams are.
Perennial. Yeah, they both are. I think the existence of Josh Allen makes us take this team as seriously as anybody, no matter what happens around them. But they are taking their offensive coordinator and making him the head coach. Their issue was defense, so they brought in a defensive coordinator who has not been an NFL defensive coordinator, who everyone really likes and was a very good college defensive coordinator and I guess a defensive pass game coordinator for the Broncos in Jim Leonard. They're making a lot of changes. They've committed a lot of draft capital to get DJ Moore into the program, a guy who is towards the end of his prime and has had some injuries in recent years. There's a situation that this team may not be all that good, especially to start the season. And then you look at the games that they have to start the season. Texans, Lions, Chargers, Patriots, Rams.
Great.
It's a tough start for a team that has a first-year young head coach, a defense that needs to get better with a first-year defensive coordinator. I just think the situation there, if you get off to a bad start, it could potentially implode if the defense isn't fixed right away, or you go up against these offenses that could make the defense really struggle. You go up against the Texans week 1. You want to start your tenure against that defense? So, yeah, I think that situation kind of scary. And the situation for the Broncos, I love this Broncos team. Great offensive line, incredible defense. Bo Nix played like a superstar quarterback in that playoff game. And I think you could come into the season saying this team is amazing. If it wasn't for a fluke injury to their quarterback, they would have won the Super Bowl last year. They had at least been in it. We all think they probably would have beaten the Patriots if they had some decent quarterback play.
Crazy.
Yeah.
All right, Jared Tittum. You're a pro. I respect it, but maybe you can play in college too.
Yeah. But if you look back at what happened with them last season, was it 11 wins in one-score games?
Yeah. Yes.
Which is something that's going to probably regress to 50-50 if not, and this team could take a slight step back.
You can see it the other way. It could regress the way the Chiefs did, where they lost all their one-score games.
They were 1-9 last year in one-score games after
it can be crazy. The NFL's weird with stuff like that.
And they added Waddle, which I think matters and is going to be really explosive. But I think the real kicker is...
receiving core sick.
Yeah. The real kicker is John Payton is no longer the play caller. He's given play calling duties to Davis Webb. And we really the huge value of having Sean Payton as your head coach is his offensive input. Not that he will stop giving offensive input, but things will change to some degree. And the way that offense was run last year, we would talk about it and joke about it some, was in that playoff game, we saw a different version of Bo Nix, but their strategy was very calibrated to protect Bo Nix and have him play successfully in screens and deep shots. If they plan to change that this year, we'll see what happens around Davis Webb. So I think that there's a ton of questions around this team that's supremely talented and is in position to have a lot of attention and hype, and also could potentially struggle getting used to some new leadership.
I think all those questions are totally real for the Broncos. There's a reason.
I hate my thoughts. Yours is so much more fun.
Well, the Broncos, look, they have the third best odds to win the NFC West.
I want fun thoughts.
Vegas is not disagreeing with you. I think they're going to be very good. I really do. It's just the AFC's a murderer's row. Like, there are 9 teams, so I think they can win the Super Bowl. This is a bummer coming off of yours, but there's one that popped into my head. I don't think this is going to happen, partially because I almost think Josh Allen's so good that he's reached a point where he's so offensive agnostic that they're going to win 9 or 10 games. But we could see a world with the playoffs without Mahomes, Lamar, and Allen. And that's just an intrusive thought. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen. Yeah. But okay.
So they obviously none of them win their division in this world. I think Mahomes missing the playoffs is probably the easiest to imagine because he just did it last year, and his team doesn't seem that it's a whole bunch.
And let me just rip through them a tiny bit. So I think the Patriots got better. I think they're going to make the playoffs. Now let's say the Bengals win the North. Right. You look at the South. I'm putting in the Texans and the Jaguars. You look at the West. I'm putting in the Chargers and the Broncos. You're at 6. There's one spot. There's always a surprise team that has an easy schedule that gets 11 games, 10 or 11 wins. And then suddenly you're at 7. That's without the Chiefs. That's without the Ravens. And that's without the Bills. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's just, you look at that murderer's row where there are 9 teams, because I'm including the Chiefs, Bills, and Ravens as teams that think they're going to win the Super Bowl this year. There are 9 teams that think they're going to make that think they're going to make the playoffs and be competing for a Super Bowl. There are going to be 2 of those teams that aren't close, and there's going to be a team that randomly is good. There's going to be a Titans team that spent a lot of money and has an easy schedule and somehow wins enough games to make a playoff run. Who knows who it's going to be? But there's always one of those teams in the NFL.
Raiders could make a run.
Yeah, Mendoza's a guy. I don't think it's going to happen. That was just an intrusive thought.
As I look at it, though, I'm with you. I can see 2 of them missing it. It's really hard to get to 7.
Yeah,
it's when we were back in the days of 6, just 2 wild card teams, it's different. Now we got this extra wild card team. I'm looking, and it's it's really hard to get to 7. I like that though, as intrusive thought. Your intrusive thoughts are more fun than mine.
I had to Simmons it a tiny bit and be like, there's always a team that comes out.
They're just you know those guys.
There's always one of those teams.
You know those guys.
Every year.
I don't know who it's gonna be, and then I start looking. It's it's not gonna be the Browns. It's not gonna. It could be the Steelers. Steelers defense get good. Aaron Rodgers.
You never know.
You never know. Just say his name. Aaron Rodgers doing Aaron Rodgers things.
Yeah.
The
Titans are just doing stuff. Got Mike Lombardi joining us from prison.
All right.
I got a couple more.
Oh gosh, I was about to shut us down. All right, I like that because I didn't want to end on the sad note of mine. All right, give me some more.
The Giants. The NFL, I know they'll never force them to do in-season hard knocks again, or because of the Saquon stuff. Yeah. They would be the best hard knocks team ever, and they should have an in-season reality show. Seeing Jameis Winston
get punched.
No. When he was holding Cam Scatterbo like a Rottweiler.
That was weird. It didn't quite look exactly like that from the angle.
He was kind of but you've got Odell Beckham, you got Malik Neighbors talking an insane amount of shit. You got Abdul Carter and Jackson Dart probably hating each other. Kayvon Thibodeau was one of those guys that said was too smart for football when he was drafted. That was the amount, the amount of that could happen if that was an in-season Hard Knocks.
It'd be great.
It'd be hilarious.
It would be pretty great.
It would be hilarious.
Yeah, we gotta tell Pablo to get some sources in there and let us know what's happening inside the locker room. Oh gosh. All right, what else you got?
Well, okay. This has nothing to do with football.
Okay, good.
This is just a hypothetical.
Let's end with the hypothetical.
I was listening to Jason Hayer or Hire. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. The guy who made The Last Dance.
Oh, okay.
He made a Novak Djokovic documentary called The Wolf in Winter. And he was interviewed about the similarities between Jordan and Djokovic. And he was like, guys, stop. There's no one like Michael Jordan. It's like the aura. He's like a folk hero when he walks in. He's giant. Like, he told a story about how Obama was like, the cameras aren't rolling, right? I want to tell you this Jordan story where Obama's reverence was like so much that he was floored by like Jordan's aura. But he was talking about like these guys being addicted to competition. And Jordan, I think of like as the most addicted to competition. I want to ask you where Jordan is in his life. He's in his 60s now. If you told him he could have a time machine.
Yes.
You go back.
He traded all.
No, you go back, but you get to eat the out of prime LeBron in a playoff series, but it means he was going to die right afterwards. Would he do it for that one more 7-game series to just end the debate and be like, all you guys, I'm just going to go torment LeBron?
I think he would do it if there was like a chance that he could survive. If there's no chance he survives, he doesn't do it. But like you and I say, no, there's no chance I would do that. I think he said, all right, you could time machine, you could go at it, but at the end of the series, we flip a coin. And that decides your fate. He would take that chance.
He would love to gamble on that one more time.
He's like, oh, and I get to gamble at the end?
But I think he would trade the golden years for one chance to just absolutely dominate LeBron in a 7-game series.
I give him a little. I think he's enjoying himself. He just got remarried not too long ago, right? He's like happy guy running around doing interviews, winning. He like racing cars and now. Yeah, drinking all that yak. Man's happy. He's enjoying himself. I think you're right. He would prefer some competition. He trades some, but like not die immediately.
It's like a poof. He gets like Thanos. He just disappears.
He'll be like, he might give up. Like, they don't tell him when. He's like, hey, let's give us 5 years off the back end. We can put you in. He's like, oh, that's easy. Yeah, you can have him 5 years. I don't even know what 5 years it is. It might be immediate, might not be, but that's worth it. Or a coin toss. I watched the Untold about chess. It was really good. Have you seen that one yet?
No, I saw the Jamie Vardy one, and it was awesome.
I gotta watch that too. The Untold about chess was good though, where they the guy was cheating or they thought he was cheating.
Yeah, with the butt plug.
Yeah. That one.
Yeah.
I would like that to be the last words on today's show. Thank you, Charlie Kravitz. Thank you to me. Thank you to Brian Madigan, Kevin O'Brien, Charlie Kravitz, Brian Cortez, and Megan McHale. Paul Bill, I love you. We out.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.